6, Unit 1, Learning Numeration. In Unit 1.1, we're going to be looking at place value and writing numbers in standard form. Read through your notes on what your place values are, but let's look at example A. We have 50,000 plus 2,000 plus 700 plus 80 plus 40, and we want to combine these together to form a standard number. Really, you just look at the first number and what the place value is. 50,000 would put the 5 in the 10,000s position. 2,000 would put the 2 in the thousands position. The 7 would put the 7 in the hundreds position. The 8 in our 80 puts that in the tens position. And the 4 goes in our ones position for a final number of 52,784. Let's look at example B. Here we have a number written out in word form. 162,716. And we want to convert this to number form or standard form. And you write it just like it sounds. 100, so we have a 1. 62,000 means we then have a 6 and a 2. That all comes before your comma. 700, so 7 goes in the hundred position. 16 would come next for a final number that you see there. Unit 1.2, different ways to name numbers. If you're in a race and you come in first place, that is the same thing as saying you are number 1. So there are different ways that you can write your numbers. Let's look at example I. In A, I have first, second. What's going to come next would be 3, which would be third. Then next would be 4, which is fourth. And then 5 is the same thing as fifth, and so forth. In example B, I have a couple of blanks, and then I have 43rd. So what number comes in front of 43? Well, that's 42, which is the same thing as saying 42nd. What comes in front of 42? Well, that's the number 41, which is the same thing as saying 41st. Example I. Write 2 ways to name the number below. When you have a number such as 1600 that has 2 zeros involved, there are actually 2 ways that you can say this number. You can just say the 16 plus the value of the 6, which is 100. So 1600 is one way of saying that number. Or you can start with the 1 and say 1,600 as another way of saying that number. Let's look at Unit 1.3, which is converting into place values. Alright, example A. I have the number 400. If I want to convert that to how many tens that is, I'd have to go to the tens position and say, okay, I have a 0 and a 4 together that from the tens position up, so I have 40 tens. If I want to know how many hundreds that is, I go to the hundreds position. I only have the 4 there, which means I have 4 hundreds. Let's look at Unit 1.4, which is rounding. Example A. A bank has $57,548,620, and I want to round this number to the nearest millions. Well, the first thing you got to do is count to the millions position. So let's do that quickly. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000, millions. So the 7 is in the millions. Now we got to determine if it rounds or not. We look to the right of that 7 and we have a 5. If the number is 5 or greater, we round up. If the number is 4 or less, you stay the same. So since my number is 5, we will round that 7 up to an 8, which gives us answer choice B. Unit 1.5. Fill in the blanks using Roman numerals. Please take the time to read through the notes on how Roman numerals are made and what symbols represent what numbers. Look at example A. I have blank fingers on my hands. So if you need to use a chart, go back and look. You know we have 5 fingers on our hands. What symbol represents the number 5? That is the V. Example B. There are blank states in America. Well, we have 50 states in America. So again, you have to look at what symbol represents the number 50. That would be the symbol L.